Father sort of started it there, so I'll go ahead and finish it. My first trip to Medjugorje was in September of 22, and I went somewhat begrudgingly. I mean, I felt like saying yes. For 20 years, I call them Medjheads. I've had a lot of friends who are Medjheads, and many people, Tom and Jan Schleem, Father John Anthony, many other people I have known. And so I never had any actual reason for not going. It wasn't that I didn't believe, or I thought there was something wrong with the theology, or I thought it wasn't a good thing to do. I didn't have any reason for not going, but I didn't have any reason to go. And when someone invited me, even though I was invited multiple times and many people offered to cover all the expenses of the trip, but I never felt like saying yes. It just wasn't there. I just didn't feel like saying yes, that I wanted to go to Medjugorje. And so I didn't for probably 20 years. And then, actually, Father John Anthony had been here and did a mission in the parish. Many of you remember that. He spoke a lot on the rosary and the necessity that we should all work up to 3 rosaries a day. How many of you are up there yet to 3 rosaries a day? Oh, we're doing pretty good. Okay. Well, so this time I began to sort of feel something. And so when it was brought up that this pilgrimage was happening, and Father John Anthony called me, and he said, John, he said, you need to go on this pilgrimage. He said, it's the perfect pilgrimage for you. I'm not sure what that meant, but he said, I know everyone on the pilgrimage, and I know the guide on the pilgrimage. I know everyone that's involved with the pilgrimage, and it's a perfect one for you to go. So you need to go. So he was on the phone. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. And I looked at the calendar. I said, what are the dates? I looked it up, and it started at one weekend, went through that weekend, and the next week, and the next weekend, and then came back. Well, typically, I never leave the parish for more than one weekend. I'll leave after a weekend, stay through one, and then back for the next one. And it's difficult to find substitute priests to come in, especially out of Dallas, down here in Ennis. And so I told Father John Anthony, I said, well, I'll go if I can get coverage. If I can get a substitute priest to cover both weekends for my masses. I said, I will go. So I thought, probably that's not going to happen. And so I picked the phone up and called a priest who you know, Monsignor Dusman. And right away he said, sure, I'll do both weekends. I said, I thought you were my friend. So I called Father John Anthony back. I said, I got coverage and I can't think of any other way to get out of it. So then I began to gather the information, sign up for the weekend, and got ready to go. So I go, and I fly out of DFW, direct flight to London, which I've taken many times. It's a very good flight. It's American Airlines flight number 50. And you leave DFW about 3 in the afternoon, so you have time to get on the plane, relax a little, they serve you dinner, and then you can watch a movie, go to sleep, and you wake up in London. It's a wonderful flight. And then I caught the next flight from London, and that all went well. I mean, you're up all night, and you're tired, but it was good. So I catch the next flight over to Dubrovnik, and we land in Dubrovnik, which there's nothing there at the airport. And so we land there, and we were running on time. Everything was good. Well, we ended up sitting in Dubrovnik for hours and hours. And some people were late. They missed their flight. And then this was wrong, and that was wrong. And we sat for hours, and there was nothing but benches to sit on. There wasn't a restaurant. There wasn't anything else there. And so, of course, the devil was helping. And I just got more angry and more angry. And I finally went up to whoever was there representing the tour company, 206 Tours. And I said, look, I didn't miss my flight. And these folks with me didn't miss their flight. So take us on to Medjugorje and then come back and get the other people. Well, at that point, they pretend they don't speak English, right? So So I just go on, sit back on this hard bench. And so all of a sudden, years ago in Mexico, I caught an eye infection. And I've never had trouble since. You just get an ophthalmic cream and it goes away. But boom, this thing just went boom in my eye. And just watering. It feels like you got an eye full of sand. It hurts. There's nothing you can do with it. You just hurt. And I was angry and I was tired. And I was tired of being avoided. And so by the time we've actually got into this old transit van to travel, 2 hours on these winding roads. And then I was getting car sick because there were some ladies that had to sit up front because they got car sick. So I sat in the back. And so it was miserable. It was miserable. And by the time I got to Medjugorje, and we were late. We were very late. So the place we were supposed to say Mass had already shut their doors. So we had to go outside of town, somewhere else for Mass. And the priest that was saying Mass was Father James Blount. And I didn't know anything about him, didn't know him. And he began to say Mass. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm trapped here for 10 days with the priest for my spiritual director that's Liberace. I mean, the man was a showman, I thought. And he was very, very flamboyant, very vocal. He is an incredible priest, by the way. But, because I spent 10 days with him. But at that point, I thought, I can't believe this. This is crazy. I'm not going to do this. So I literally went on my phone and got reservations back to London in 2 days. I thought, tomorrow I'll go to the pharmacy. I'll get my ophthalmic cream, clear up the eye infection. It's no big deal. And then I'll walk around and I'll see Medjugorje. And then I'll fly back to London. I like London. It's nice. Everybody speaks English. They have good restaurants, good theaters. And I thought, I can go to London. I like that for another week and a half. So we get to the hotel, go in, check in. It's a nice hotel. And went up to my room. I walk in the door. And there was a balcony, and it was a beautiful night. The weather was nice. It was beautiful. I could see St. James Church. And so I thought, well, I'll go look out on the balcony. And I was trying to calm down. And so I walk across the room. And when I got about halfway across the room, boom. All of a sudden, the eye infection was gone. I felt like I'd slept for 3 days. I had all of this energy and no anger. No anger, none. There was just this peace and this knowledge that you're where I want you. I'm your mother. You're here. It's where I want you. It was incredible, all at once. And so about that time, the phone in the hotel room rang, and it was Stephen calling from the States. And because he knew I wasn't thrilled about going to Medjugorje, and I think he suspected I might have got off in London anyway. So he was calling the hotel room to see if I actually arrived. And so I picked the phone up, said hello and whatever, and I guess my voice maybe found it funny or something. He goes, Father, is everything okay? And I said, yes, Stephen. And I said, I don't know what's going on here, but there is some spooky shit going on here. And I said, I don't know what's going on. And so about that time, his two boys, oldest boys, Colby and Bennett, get on the phone because we'd been traveling before and said, Father, bring us some Spider-Man dolls. Bring us Spider-Man dolls when you come home. And so I said, Colby, I said, truthfully, I'm not sure Spider-Man's made it to Medjugorje. I said, I might find Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse or, somebody that's all over the world. And I said, I'll bring you something. So I said, okay. So literally, and I don't know if Caleb has that picture still, but poor Caleb's got to run across the choir loft and look. But anyway, so I thought, okay, well, I'll go on outside. It's beautiful. I'll walk down the street and I could see St. James Church. And so I walk out the street and I turn the corner and the very first souvenir rosary metal shop right there, and there's a bushel basket full of Spider-Man dolls. And I don't think I've seen one in Medjugorje since. And so I bought two of them, a bigger one for the older boy and a smaller one. And I don't know, do you have that picture? You don't have it? That's okay. And somebody's pointing at somebody up there. But anyway, so I went on down the street a little ways and walked on down. But the whole trip was a continuing series of these happenings that they weren't earth-shaking. They weren't anything monumental, a cure of cancer or anything, but just these things that just kept happening. Oh, this one. Yeah. So somebody took this. They weren't in our group, but for some reason, somebody felt possessed to take this picture. And so I sent it back to Stephen and some other folks here as proof that I actually went up Apparition Hill. Okay? So Stephen takes that picture, and beside it, he put, what was it? Oh, yeah, a picture of Sasquatch. And he put a caption on there, and it said, "There's living proof." So I made it up Apparition Hill. And because I still wasn't fully into this whole deal, right? And we got a mountain of rocks, and you'll enjoy going up them. I go, okay, that's all right. So I didn't go with the bus, literally. I didn't go out. And then I thought, well, go ahead, go. I'm here. And so there was a big basket of walking sticks by the door. They've got them everywhere in the place because you need them. And so I thought, okay, I'll pick up a walking stick and I'll go out, grab a taxi, and I'll go on up Apparition Hill. And it's incredible. It really is. The grace is, and any of you who know me a little bit, I'm not any kind of a exercise freak or a gym person, or I don't do things like that for fun. It's painful. And I'm not a sadist or masochist. But anyway, but the grace is incredible. And the whole trip then was the same way. It's grace-filled. And it kept happening over and over. Just little things that weren't anything monumental, but she let me know she was there. It was because of her that this happened. And there was a peace with it that I can't describe. Knowing that Mary, the Mother of God, the one who bore Jesus, gave him to us, that incredible grace that nothing can top, brought Jesus into the world, that same mother is willing to call me her son, is willing to treat me as a son, is willing to love me as a son and forgive me, help me to forgive myself. It's a gift that's beyond what we ought to be able to have, really. We don't deserve it. But it's what she wants to give us, like every mother wants to give her children, that gift of knowing how much she really loves them. And it does come from walking on rocks. It does come from doing what's not easy to do here on earth. It does come from what love is, which is a participation in the cross. He defined love, and she helps us to know that. Our culture wants to avoid pain at all costs, and that's the devil's work. We don't seek pain, but when we experience in doing the good, we know that the reward, the grace will be there. And even in our regular lives, when we go ahead and push through and do what we know we need to do, there is that gift there that comes from doing the right thing. And that's what our mother gives us in so many ways. And so it's a wonderful gift to me. And I hope that on this weekend that you experience that. And I encourage you to open your hearts up. You know, she knows we're a bunch of chickens as children, right? When you take your children to go off the high diving board the first time, or you take them to, learn how to ride a bicycle, she knows that. But she's there to help us to be able to do it and to realize what happens to us when we do it, when we truly love her and her son a little bit the way they love us. It's incredible. It's a gift, a true gift. Okay.